Shanks' sword Griffin might possess the mythical Tori Tori no Mi Devil Fruit. Welcome back to Amy's channel. You might not know that during one period when author Oda drew red-haired Shanks, he was seen using a different sword instead of Griffin. Most notably, on the cover of chapter 838, Shanks' sword had a different hilt compared to the current Griffin. What's important to note here is that before using Griffin, Shanks wielded a different sword, as seen in chapter 1 and chapter 552. Recently, we've seen Shamrock appear with an identical appearance to Shanks, revealing that they are twin brothers. Shamrock uses a sword named Cerberus, which creates a three-headed wolf to attack Loki. This suggests that Shamrock's sword Cerberus is similar to Shanks' Griffin. Both swords are named after mythological beasts with fearsome power and legends. If Cerberus is a sword that has absorbed a devil fruit, why wouldn't we suspect Griffon of possessing devil fruit powers as well? In this video, we'll discuss the mysteries surrounding Shamrock and Shanks' swords to better understand them together. Shamrock confirmed that Shanks once returned to Mary Geoise to meet the Figarland family, including Shamrock and, of course, their father, Figarland Garling. Garling was willing to overlook Shanks' time as a pirate on Roger's ship, persuading him to take on the role of a celestial dragon to serve the world government. However, Shanks rejected these conditions, determined to return to the vast outside world as a pirate with a powerful crew that remains undefeated to this day. The exact timing of this event remains unknown, but I believe it was after 13 years ago, based on the identifying features of Shanks' Griffin sword. In Chapter 1, Shanks appeared in the East Blue with a sword of different construction, featuring a twisted hilt rather than the piercing design of Griffin. This means that 13 years ago, Shanks was still using his old sword in each appearance. For a swordsman, their sword is always by their side. That's an unchangeable fact, isn't it? In Chapter 434, when appearing on Whitebeard's ship over 2 years ago, Shanks was seen using Griffin up until today. Remember Zoro. He always uses, cherishes, and shows gratitude for the swords that have accompanied him through the years. In Chapter 489, when Yubashiri was damaged, Zoro commemorated this sword by planting it in the ground, creating a grave. Or consider the samurai of Wano, who are buried with their swords placed on their graves. When the master dies, the sword follows until someone worthy becomes its new owner. Gecko Moria stole the Shusui from Wano along with Ryuma's corpse. When Ryuma's corpse in Brook's shadow was defeated, this Shusui accepted Zoro, and finally, he returned it with great respect in Wano. As for Shanks, he didn't change swords because his old sword was damaged. On the cover of Chapter 838, he was still using it to attend someone's wedding. This period was after the time skip, with Luffy's new bounty. Similar to a wedding on Whole Cake Island, where the ceremony officiant Stroyson raised his sword to the sky as a declaration. Perhaps Shanks also wanted to use his old sword in tribute to it, rather than using Griffon. Overall, Shanks currently has 2 swords in his possession, but in important battles, he uses Griffon, such as when facing Emperor Whitebeard, confronting Akainu at Marineford, or recently defeating Kid. Until now, we've always been certain that the Red Hair Pirates don't have anyone using devil fruit powers. They fight relying on skills and haki, yet remain undefeated in every battle. However, Shanks' sword-absorbing devil fruit power doesn't seem to violate this unchangeable principle. It would be an extremely interesting exception, based on Shamrock's sword, Cerberus. When torturing Loki, Shamrock used darkness to summon Cerberus, speaking to it like his pet to decide Loki's fate. A Cerberus appeared incredibly fierce with abnormal power, each wolf head growing a sword, even detaching from the body to attack inside Loki's body, with the blade regenerating normally after leaving the battlefield, like some sort of replication ability. The concept of objects absorbing devil fruit powers isn't unfamiliar to fans. We've previously seen Spandam's sword possessing the elephant fruit, a bazooka possessing the dog fruit, Caesar Clown's poison possessing the salamander fruit, and Kozuki Sukiyaki's teapot possessing the tanuki fruit in One Piece's main storyline. The principle behind objects absorbing devil fruits hasn't been revealed yet. But one thing is certain. They are all Zoan fruits with will, giving life to inanimate objects, with animal personalities clearly expressed, such as an elephant sometimes being afraid of Frankie, or a dog getting a runny nose from a cold. Similarly, the Cerberus sword carries dog characteristics, with loyalty certainly being prioritized and emphasized. Besides other abilities of a mythical devil fruit, it's unclear whether the sword's name was given based on the fruit's power or if Cerberus was its original name. Sometimes it's both, like Wano's mythical guardian wolf devil fruit, only found in Wano. This means the Cerberus sword could only consume the mythical Zoan Cerberus fruit. Whatever the case, we hope author Oda will answer this question. Now let's compare Cerberus and Griffon to understand better. First, they are swords with quite similar structures, which makes me think about the case where Garling found 3 similar swords reserved for his family, one for Garling and the other 2 for his twin sons. So Shanks would also have a family sword even though he didn't agree to become a celestial dragon. Regarding sword grade, Cerberus and Griffon must certainly be of the same grade, possibly supreme grade swords. To date, only 5 out of 12 supreme grade swords have appeared. Griffon's grade hasn't been confirmed, but if all 3 swords owned by the Figarland family are supreme grade, that would bring the total to 8 out of 12 swords, leaving room for 4 other swords in the world to complete the 12. Secondly, their mythology. Cerberus is a 3-headed dog with a snake-like tail. Its duty is to guard the gates of hell, preventing dead souls from escaping. Cerberus is loyal to Hades, king of the underworld. Clearly, Shamrock's main duty is as a holy knight, the world government's supreme army, and Cerberus's duty is to guard the underworld. More specifically, Mary Geoise in One Piece. You'll see this place, immersed in darkness, a true hell disguised as heaven, where self-proclaimed saints live, no different from a mob of scum. Their power dark and gloomy, as if from the realm of death, as demonstrated in the attack on Sabo and King Cobra. Meanwhile, Griffin is a mythological creature, with an eagle's head, wings, and front legs, with a lion's hindquarters. The Griffin is described as Zeus's hunting dog. Although there are various descriptions, this is the consistent form in mythology. Griffin's legend is tied to guarding treasures and protecting priceless assets. As Roger's successor, Shanks with Griffin is trying to protect the Pirate King's One Piece treasure, where the world's truth is revealed. If someone possesses this treasure at the right time, the world will have a turning point to change the era. The contrast between Cerberus and Griffon also alludes to the roles of Garling's twin sons. Each has different aspirations, doing everything to protect their own righteous path, like guardians of heaven and hell. Shamrock constantly tries to protect Mary Geoise's treasure, ensuring Im's stable rule as world king against those who want to overthrow the world government. Shanks always tries to maintain order in the pirate world as an emperor, ensuring the era Roger mapped out follows its course, waiting for the right time to claim One Piece and change the times. Returning to the story of Shanks's sword, has it really absorbed devil fruit power, or is it just a very powerful sword? According to Shanks's attack on Kid, when Shanks rushed forward releasing his haki, we notice in the anime the image of a Griffon before defeating Kid. Meanwhile, in manga chapter 1079, there was no drawing of a bird at all. However, the anime producers couldn't have arbitrarily added Griffon's image based solely on Shanks' energy or the sword. It must have been a meaningful direction from author Oda for them to depict it that way. Cerberus can form a specific 3-headed wolf to attack Loki, revealing Shamrock's true power, and I'm confident Oda is hinting that Shanks is similar to his brother with that sword. At some point, at least 13 years ago until now, Shanks went to Mary Geoise at the Figarland family's invitation. That was the only time. To persuade Shanks, Garling must have presented attractive offers as bait, because if they had Shanks in the government army, as a holy knight no less, the government would easily dominate the 4 emperors, based on the Figarland family's power. This bait must have included the supreme grade sword named Griffin. Each famous sword contains a unique power that any swordsman would crave to possess. For instance, consider how Zoro drooled at the sight of Enma, though hesitant to trade a black blade like Shisui for it, being gifted Enma outright. Who wouldn't accept? Just holding the sword, which absorbs his haki to release terrifying power, is enough to understand that with Enma in hand, Zoro would become much stronger. The same goes for Shanks. I'm certain that when Shanks held Griffin, it was as if the sword had chosen its master. Its special ability helped Shanks become stronger, so he decided to steal the sword and reject Garling's lucrative offers. It's no coincidence that there exists a sword named Cerberus and another named Griffon in different places. Like the Katetsu sword line, all 3 were made in Wano by the Kazuki family. Therefore, I believe the 3 swords of Garling, Shamrock, and Shanks all came from the same forge, with Garling possessing all of them before passing them to his sons to protect the world government together, leading to Shanks returning to Mary Geoise to receive it, deciding to reject the role and returning to the outside world with the stolen Griffin. Don't forget that Shanks is a pirate. He managed to steal the rubber devil fruit without eating it, let alone a supreme grade sword with great power helping him maintain world order. But after all this discussion, we still don't know if Shanks's Griffin sword has eaten a devil fruit or not. I personally don't dare conclude, as the manga hasn't shown the Griffin bird like in the anime. Only when it appears will I believe it, friends. Currently, I still think it's just the energy that Shanks puts into Griffin, released before launching the commissary attack. What do you think about that? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below this video for me to consider. Thank you for watching the entire video. I'm Amy. See you in the next videos.